subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you know, that you're, ثُمَّ إِنَّكُمْ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ لَمَيِّتُونَ, right? That you're going to die. And then, ثُمَّ إِنَّكُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ تُبْعَثُونَ, like you're going to be resurrected. And so this theme is constant throughout the Quran. You will constantly find this theme of resurrection and a reminder of it. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ, closer to him than his own self. And that's, you know, like Imam al-Busayri says, min shiddat al-dhuhuri khafa'u. Like when things are so close, the Arabs say al-qurbu hijab. When people are very close to you, you often you don't recognize who they are because they're too close. Like you can completely miss your spouse. You might have a very pious woman as a spouse, but you miss it because you're veiled by the closeness, and vice versa. So very often spouses don't recognize the blessing that they've been given if they're not careful. So Allah is so close to us that we can actually be veiled from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the closeness. It's absolute presence. And al-ma'iyya al-ilmiyya, I mean, we believe in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through knowledge, because we're not pantheists, so it's important not to make that mistake either. And then so we have these two angels that receive everything. ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد. No word is uttered. And why? See, putting it in this about the wa'id. So this is a chapter about the dangers of neglecting the presence of the Day of Judgment. And this is one of the most important reminders that everything you say will be recorded and you'll be answerable for it. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, when he mentioned about the tongue, and one of the companions, he said, أَنُؤَخِذْ بِمَا نَقُولُ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ, what we're going to be taken into account for what we say. He said, ثَكِرَتْكَ أُمُّكَ, you know. He said, hell. Like, do the people, are they dragged in hell? عَلَى وُجُوهِهِمْ إِلَّا بِسَبَبْ حَصَائِدْ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. It's only the harvest of their tongues that drags them in hell. Like the tongue it's an enemy. And the Prophet ﷺ said every morning the tongue is all the limbs shake and beg the tongue to be straight. Because it says, if you're straight, we're straight. If you're crooked, we're crooked. Because the limbs don't want to go to hell. So the tongue is right there. It's right there. لا تقف ما ليس لك به علم إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنهم مسؤولا. Like your hearing, seeing, the heart, those are all, you're responsible for them. What goes in, what comes out, you're responsible. Right? Don't say anything that you don't have sound knowledge of. Speak from certainty. When I was in Mauritania many, many years ago, there was a sheikh that I met, a very old, elderly man, and he talked so slow that it was just tough because he really spoke slowly. And I thought he had a speech impediment. And I asked somebody about it, and he said, since he's known him, and this is like decades, he said, يُرَاقِبُ كُلَّ كَلِمَةً. Like he watches every word that comes out of his mouth. That's what he told me about this man. He said he watches every word, and he said he puts it in the scale. Subhanallah. So people just don't think about these things. مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ. No word will be uttered. إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. The one watching it and the one ready to record it. Right? There's a watcher, a recorder. وَجَاءَتْ سَكْرَةَ الْمَوْتِ بِالْحَقِّ. Right after that. سَكْرَةَ الْمَوْتِ. It's going to come. So think about your life. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you say, what you're writing on these stupid forums. All these things that people are doing and not thinking about it. Sakarat al-maut, because it's like a drunkenness almost. It's like a stupor, and some people don't even know what's happening. And they're completely, they realize nobody can help them at that point. And they will all get there. Every tyrant will be there. Nobody escapes this. Nobody escapes this. So don't think any of these people are going to get away with anything they do. But you should be more concerned, and I should be more concerned about myself and yourselves than we are about these other people, because they're doing what they were created to do. But are we doing what we were created to do? فَرِيقٌ فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَفَرِيقٌ فِي السَّعِيرِ. And then, ذَلِكَ مَا كُنْتَ مِنْهُ تَحِيدٌ. That's what you were avoiding, because nobody wants to die. Somebody, Imam Zayd's, one of the people in New Jersey, he said, everybody wants to go to Jannah, but nobody wants to die. Al-mawtu tuhfat al-mu'min. Death is the gift of the believer. So we should want a long life because we're told to. You know, the Prophet said, don't desire death. He told us to ask for long life, which is proof this isn't a death cult. You know, this idea of people wanting to die. Even in Sahih al-Bukhari, he said, don't want to meet the enemy in battle. Like, that's actually a sickness. People that want to fight are not well. They're not well. It's a sickness. You know, all these people that want to go and kill people, these are sick people. They're unwell. And historically, it's always been difficult to get people to join that military. I mean, you have resistance to drafts. People don't like to go to war. Our species is not a species that actually, there's only, I think, 4 or 5 species that actually kill within the species. If you look at rams lock horns. They don't gouge another ram. They don't gouge another ram. If you watch cats fight, they don't use their claws when they fight each other. You know, they're very careful about that. So you can see that animals won't kill other animals within their species. Humans will suffer greatly from killing other people. A lot of trauma goes with killing people. If it's justified, it's a little different, obviously, but it's still, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يزال أحدكم في فسحة من ربه ما لم يسفك الدم. You will have, for want of a better translation, wiggle room with your Lord. You will have some negotiating room with your Lord as long as you haven't shed blood. And one of the Salaf asked Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, give me some knowledge, give me all of knowledge. Like, اكتب لي كتابا واجعل فيه كل العلم. A good question, impossible answer. So Ibn Umar, he wrote back, he said, write me something that has all of knowledge in it. And so he wrote him back, he said, al-ilm kathir, there's a lot of knowledge. But he said, but if you're able, he said, don't let your tongue speak ill of anyone. Don't misuse people's money. Don't eat any wealth that's not yours. And then he said, don't share in the shedding of any blood. Don't share in the shedding of any blood. Right? And then he said, and just mind your own business. You know, just do what you should be doing. Because min husni islam al-mar'i tarku ma la ya'nihi. If everybody did what they were supposed to be doing, because so many of us, people talk about things they can't do anything about all the time. Nothing they can do about, but they love to talk. One Arab told me, this is the first time I ever heard this word, so for the Arabic students, it's a good word. He said, we were talking about just in the Arab world, I noticed when I lived in one of the countries that they used to, when I'd go to the bureaucrat offices, you know, it's very bureaucratic. It's almost like a Dickensian type environment. You go in and these people they call them sinecures. That's a good Dickens word. You know, sinecure is like a job where you don't have to do anything, right? Right? Doge. You know. So I used to go there, and everybody all morning they would read the newspapers, And then in the afternoon, they would talk about what they read in the newspaper. I'm not making this up. And I mentioned that to somebody. He said, "Na'am, yajtar. Yajtar, hada kullu ijtirar." So I didn't know what ijtirar meant, but it's what the animals that chew the cud do. Like you chew, and then the bolus, they swallow it, and then they vomit it back up and chew it some more. And then they swallow it, vomit it back up, chew it some more. That's what he said. So he called that ijtirar, just chewing the cud. And we actually say that in English. We were chewing the cud, which means we were talking about things just, nothing important. Chewing the cud. Isn't that interesting? Language, humans.